Today we have a lot to get into, including a new exclusive Nintendo Switch 2 game that is coming out this summer. It was announced yesterday and they didn't put a date on it, so that's weird, but very exciting stuff there. I'm excited to hop into Dear Me, I Was with you all. We also had a new NSO game announced for July 3rd. Very exciting stuff. Dragon Drive had some more details revealed. Nintendo worked on Death Stranding 2. That's an interesting one. And then I also wanted to cover some various third-party topics from the past week as well. So if you are new here and you enjoy Nintendo Switch 2 news coverage, I would appreciate you liking the video and subscribing. Let's get into it. Alrighty folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about quite a few different topics. The first thing I really wanted to hop on here and talk about was Dear Me, I Was. Now I know what you're thinking, Bo, what is this? I've never heard of this. Why do I care about Dear Me, I Was? But I promise this is a bigger deal than you think. So if you recall, last year, the first game of 2024 Nintendo released was Another Code Recollection. It was a remake of Trace Memory from the DS, as well as the sequel that came to Wii in Japan and Europe. And that was kind of weird. It was this very forgotten IP that Nintendo was reviving. Originally, it was from a developer named CING. They have now since been defunct. However, a lot of their staff moved over to Arc System Works, including the artist and the director of those games. Yesterday, Arc System Works announced this new Switch 2 exclusive game that is very clearly in the same style called Dear Me, I Was. And I mean, just looking at the website here or the trailer, it's immediately obvious that it's following in the same lineage with the same artist. I think it's Taisuke Kanasaki, I want to say, is the artist and director of these games. So Arc System Works announced this in their presentation yesterday. This had leaked. We have talked about this game in the past on this channel through that Arc System Works leak. It was titled Project Life internally, and apparently it's like a 50-minute game. Like, it's a very short download-only title. Yeah, Taisuke Kanasaki here, as well as the director Maho Taguchi and the producer Ryuhei Enzo. This is a short title. It's an eShop only thing. It's coming this summer as a Switch 2 exclusive. It looks like they're going to be really focusing in on trying to make you sad. I don't know, man. This game's going to be focusing on like the happiest moments in life and the saddest, it feels like. So you know this game is going to make you feel things. The reason this is big, though, I'm not going to try to hype up this project in particular, especially since it is like an eShop only kind of smaller, shorter experience. It's a big deal for a couple of reasons. The first reason is Nintendo's not publishing it. That's very strange to me. Maybe it's because it's a shorter thing and maybe Nintendo just doesn't want to deal with that right now. Because, I mean, clearly this is like the next step in the Another Code Hotel Dusk kind of styling from this developer. But also, I think this is important because we saw Another Code come back. We're getting this now. I think it is extremely likely for those that have been waiting for Hotel Dusk and The Last Window to come back as well now. And those are Nintendo IP. We will see those in the future. I am like 99% sure if we got Another Code and then they were like, wow, that did well enough, let's greenlight this other thing that's new. Yeah, I'm pretty confident we will see Nintendo release Hotel Dusk and Last Window in the hopefully near future. And then from there, I mean, if they're doing new projects in this style, and if these do well, I mean, maybe we'll see an entirely new full-length game partnered by Nintendo and Arc System Works in this style. Maybe a new Another Code, a new Hotel Dusk on top of the remake. So very cool stuff coming this summer to Nintendo Switch 2. We don't have pricing on it yet, but like I said, it's apparently like an hour long. Like it's a really short experience, more indie-sized, I suppose. They say watercolor and rotoscoping come together to paint an interactive story, a story told through beautiful visuals combining the rich watercolor style aesthetics of Taisuke Kanasaki and rotoscope technology. Let the lifelike characters take you on an emotional journey. So yeah, I mean, this is going to be a smaller project. I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to be like a Game of the Year contender, but it is certainly one that I'm very excited for as someone who had not played any of CING's games, CING being the original developer of Another Code and Hotel Dusk. However, playing Another Code last year, once again, it's not like the greatest game in the world or anything, but their games have a certain energy to them that really stick with you, if that makes sense. So very excited for this coming this summer. I do also want to talk about a side point to this entire thing here. So this is a Switch 2 exclusive, not published by Nintendo, but it's a Switch 2 exclusive spiritual successor to Another Code and Hotel Dusk. Doesn't have a release date. Coming out this summer. I think a lot of people that like to speculate about Nintendo Directs are looking at this and being like, huh, that's a little weird. So, listen, I know a lot of people are still talking and hoping for some sorts of Nintendo Direct in July. I made a video a couple days ago saying I don't really think that's going to happen. Maybe this would be more evidence towards that because I think it's safe to assume that without a release date, this is going to show up in a Nintendo Direct and maybe even be shadow dropped, because why would it not have a release date right now? That's so weird. But even to begin with, it's weird that Nintendo's not working with them on it. But it's also switched to exclusive, so maybe they paid for exclusivity. I don't know. It's a little weird. Does this indicate a Nintendo Direct coming? I think it will be in a Nintendo Direct, and if it's releasing in the summer, well, that Nintendo Direct has to be before the end of summer. But here's what we need to realize: September is also summer. Summer is technically not over until like the second half of September. So if we get a September Direct and it shadow drops there, that would still fall in line with their release window here. I hope there's a July Direct. I really, truly do. I don't know if this necessarily is indicative of it, but let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think this does indicate that there is some sort of Nintendo Direct coming soon? But also, what do you think of the game itself? I know it's not everybody's cup of tea. I know some people are going to click on this video and be like, oh, why are you hyping up this small, weird project? But I think this is pretty cool. Like, I mean, I made videos on Another Code last year and how cool it was that Nintendo would be willing to revive an IP like that. And now seeing this artist and these directors and like seeing them get back together basically and be able to make something new in this style is so exciting to me, even if it is a smaller thing. So I really wanted to highlight that as like the main leading news story. Dear Me, I Was. That's a terrible title, by the way. Bad for SEO. Love the art. Really excited for this, coming later this summer. We also had some pretty exciting Nintendo Switch Online news late last night. Nintendo announced that Mario & Co. hit the pitch in 5-on-5 matches in Super Mario Strikers, coming to Nintendo GameCube, Nintendo Classics on Switch 2 on July 3rd. So if you have the expansion pack, you'll be able to play Super Mario Strikers in just a little bit over a week now, or I guess under a week from the time of posting. I'm pretty excited for this. I've only really played Battle League, and I don't like Battle League too much. So I think there's a chance that Mario Strikers in general isn't for me, but also I know people really don't like that game that much, so I think it might be more on that game side of things, on like why I didn't like it. So I'm pretty excited to try this out. I'll be real, I haven't really messed with GameCube stuff too much, man. I've been so busy playing, well, Welcome Tour took up way too much time, but also Mario Kart World, I have like 60 hours in now, doing 100% in that, playing some Bravely Default and other third-party games. I haven't really had time to mess with the GameCube stuff, so I'm excited to hop in, probably sometime this week. Do have Zero finally, and Soul Calibur, Wind Waker. That's just not going to happen right now. I don't have time for Wind Waker. I would love to play Wind Waker. And then, yeah, next week, I want to try out Mario Strikers, maybe do a stream or something. That might be kind of fun. It's 5-on-5. I'm not sure. How does that work local multiplayer? Because the GameCube was four-player local, right? Or I guess did it have LAN? I'm not too sure, but maybe we could stream Mario Strikers next week or something and get the chat involved with the matches or something. That might be kind of fun. I do want to give this a go though, because Mario Sports stuff has been hit or miss, I suppose, over the years. But honestly, the more I've been thinking and reflecting on the Switch era, I know Battle League is a miss for most people, including myself. I think it's one of the most disappointing Switch 1 games. However, I get more and more nostalgic for Super Rush, but especially Tennis Aces the more time goes on. I'm like, dang, those were kind of like really fun games. I really enjoyed playing those. So I think I'm going to check out Mario Strikers when it comes to Switch Online next week. Okay, we had a bit of an update on Dragon Drive yesterday because they added the page to the website, right? It's $20. That pricing came out like right after I recorded my video the other day, so that was kind of annoying. But yeah, it's $20. We already all know that, I'm sure. However, we did learn the file size for this game, and apparently it also supports 12-player online. So I just wanted to talk about this really quick. So first things first, if we scroll down here, we should be able to find, yeah, the game file size for Dragon Drive is 1.8 gigs. Now, I know what I'm about to say is completely nonsensical, and this is not reflective of reality. However, I'm already very skeptical of this game, and I don't know why, but for some reason seeing 1.8 gigs, I'm like, oh no, there's really nothing else in this game. Like literally, there's just not anything else. I know file size is not necessarily reflective of that, but there's something about Dragon Drive, man. I just can't shake the feeling. There's just nothing else to this game. I really want to be wrong. I want to be excited for this weird new IP from Nintendo where you're in a wheelchair playing basketball, but beyond what I played in April, beyond what we've seen from like Treehouse and stuff, I just want to know like progression. Like, are there unlocks, cosmetics, like just something to play the game for? Or are you really just going online and just playing for fun? I mean, that's fun. I'm sure I'll have fun with it for a night or two. But like, I want to know about like there must be like a leveling system, right? Like you play online, you level up. Is there like different modes? I don't know. This feels like such a weird release. But then we also learned here online 1 to 12 players. Now I don't know if there's something specific here where when I played the demo, you could see like multiple basketball courts around you. So I don't know if there's like a lobby setting or something where, because the game is 3v3. So maybe while you're playing matches, you can like see another match to your left or right, and that would technically count as 12-player online because it's 6 players in your match, and then 6 players in another match. Well, you do the math, that's 12. I don't know. I don't think this game is actually going to have like a 6v6 mode. I think that's just like some weird technicality of like, well, it's not, you're not really playing with 12 people, but technically it is 12 player online. I don't know. Let me know what you think of Dragon Drive, man. I know people seemingly want to like be really into it. I got a lot of comments, and I've seen people on Twitter and stuff being like, yeah, Dragon Drive's gonna be hype, this new IP, and I'm very happy that people are excited for it. But I can't shake the feeling that there's just not much to this game. But if it's a simple fun for a night or two, maybe even a week, like, that's enough for me. As you can see down here, I already pre-ordered it. So I will be doing a review of Dragon Drive when it releases in August, and I will try to go into it with as much of an open mind as possible. Okay, I thought this was just kind of funny. People are so hyped up for Death Stranding 2 right now. I wanted to talk about this here. So reading from Video Games Chronicle here, they say Nintendo-owned company worked on Death Stranding 2. And it's true. If you look at the credits for Death Stranding 2, you will see Nintendo's name in there because Nintendo Pictures actually helped with the motion capture for this game. Now, before Nintendo acquired the company and renamed them to Nintendo Pictures, they were called Dynamo Pictures. They've worked recently on like Mario RPG. They also did some work on Tears of the Kingdom, Pikmin 4, Mario Wonder, even Another Code. That's funny. We talked about Another Code in this video. Yeah, they worked on Another Code. So they're doing like a lot of like mocap and like animation stuff and work like that for Nintendo. Before they worked on Death Stranding 1 though, they also worked on like Final Fantasy 13 2, Monster Hunter World, Persona 5. Seemingly, this deal would have been signed before Nintendo acquired them in 2022, but if you look in the credits, you will see Nintendo Pictures credited in this Sony-exclusive PS5 game. Of course, it will later come to PC, and likely Xbox, and maybe even Nintendo Switch 2. Just kind of funny to see, you know, this obviously, like, no console warring BS here. It's just weird to see the Nintendo name and a Nintendo-owned company in the credits of this game. I don't think that would be happening in the future. Like I said, I think this might have been a deal that was signed before Nintendo acquired them. Of course, I mean, Death Stranding 2 has been in development since like 2020. So yeah, this mocap work could have been done before Nintendo even like thought about buying them, right? So just kind of interesting. I did also want to talk a little bit about Death Stranding here as an excuse to. I keep seeing so much hype for Death Stranding 2. Makes me really want to play it, but I still need to finish the first game, man. There was that rumor we talked about from Beat 'em Ups that Death Stranding Director's Cut S would be announced for Switch 2 coming later this year in a July Direct. I hope that's true, man. Here's the thing. I talk about a lot of rumors, and I'm like, oh, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I want to believe that. I want to believe in July Direct. I want to believe that Death Stranding's coming to Switch 1. I just don't know if that specific rumor is necessarily the most believable, but Death Stranding coming to Switch, I think, is totally reasonable. I mean, it came to PC, it came to Xbox, it's getting an anime adaptation, it's getting a movie adaptation from A24. I think we will see Death Stranding 1 at the very least come to Switch 2. Maybe even this year. I mean, I think that might be a priority for them to really just kind of keep expanding the IP. I think that's what they want to do with it, clearly, since they keep doing so many different things beyond just the games. Death Stranding 2 itself, that would be nice to see this game come eventually with that Nintendo Pictures credit in there, you know, full circle moments. I don't know, though. I mean, the tech in this game, having not played it, but I keep seeing people post little clips and screenshots. This is one of the best looking games I've ever seen. I don't really know if this could run on Switch 2. I mean, of course, they always could downscale it enough to get it running on a Nintendo platform, but I don't know. This is like one of the first few times I'm looking at a PS5 game and I'm like, whoa, PS5's finally, like, you know, pulling its weight. So we'll see. I do think DS1 will come eventually. Death Stranding 2, though, that might be a little bit much to ask for, but let me know what you think of this Nintendo Pictures credits in Death Stranding 2. I think this is just a little funny thing here I wanted to cover. And then finally, to close off the video, I just wanted to highlight a couple of third-party games that have been announced for Switch 2 that I just missed over the past week because I wasn't uploading too much. So a couple of things if you missed them. Trails Beyond the Horizon, that is coming to Switch 2 in January 2026, so I think that might be our first dated 2026 Switch 2 game, which is kind of funny. Of course, the latest entry in the Legend of Heroes series came out in Japan on Switch and PS4, or maybe just PS4 and PS5, actually. I want to say last year, but now it's getting localized by NIS America. There's a whole game keycard release. There's a whole debacle with the pricing. For some reason, this version of the game is $10 more than even the PS5 version, so I don't know what NIS America is doing there, but a Switch 2 version was announced for that. Very cool to see Falcom getting on the Switch 2 train pretty early on here. We also have East 10 Proud Nordics coming from them, so I wanted to shout shout that out. But also, Bandai Namco had an entire stream for Little Nightmares. They announced 2 things for Switch 2, actually. So, first things first, Little Nightmares 3 coming out October 10th. This game was already confirmed for Switch 1. However, we now know there is going to be a native Switch 2 version as well, which, I mean, this is a smaller scale game. You maybe don't need it running in 4K, 60 FPS or whatever, but it's preferred. Even a small game like this, you still are going to see the benefits of having, a more powerful console. So it's coming to Switch 2 on October 10th, but also we're getting a remaster of Little Nightmares 1 on October 10th as well. Weird thing about this, though, it's already available on PS5 and the other platforms if you pre-order Little Nightmares 3. I don't know if this is the case for Switch 1, but at the very least on Switch 2, if you pre-order Little Nightmares 3 on Switch 2, you don't get this. So I'm guessing the studio doing it did not have dev kits soon enough to get that enhanced version ready. We had talked about Little Nightmares Enhanced as like a potential copium for there being a direct. Well, no, they just did their own stream. So those are both coming to Switch 2 on October 10th. Pretty exciting stuff. I'm actually excited to play through those games leading up to Little Nightmares 3, I think. I played a little bit of the first game, and I enjoyed what I played of it. I like the whole vibe. If you remember back in like 2018 when the first game came to Switch, it was in a direct, and they were like, oh, if you scan the Pac-Man amiibo, you get a Pac-Man costume. That's kind of dumb. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight a few miscellaneous third-party games that have been announced for Switch 2, just so we're all inclusive here. We're getting everything discussed on the channel. I don't want to really miss like a huge piece of Switch 2 news here moving forward. So that is going to do it for today's video. Let me know what you think of all these stories we discussed in the comments down below. Are you going to check out Dear Me, I Was? Are you going to play Mario Strikers when it releases on GameCube and SO next week? What is the vibe on Dragon Drive for you all? How do we feel about Nintendo Pictures being in the credits for Death Stranding 2? And then all of these third-party games, are you going to check these out on Switch 2? Or maybe you're not interested at all. I would love to hear what you think in the comments down below. Of course, subscribe here for more Nintendo Switch 2 news, coverage, content, all that fun stuff. Follow me on Twitter at BoTalksGames. Check out my Nintendo collecting channel at It's Amiibo. Posted a different video there yesterday. Gonna have my Mario Kart review finally. I keep talking about Mario Kart review. It's actually happening this weekend, so get excited for that after I 100%ed the game. Put a lot of time into it for that review. And until next time, folks, peace.